Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to please give a warm welcome to the editor of Freedom News, President and Legal Counsel for National Health Federation, Mr. Scott Tibbs.
Thank you, but I really have to give applause to you, all of you, and I admire you for being here instead of watching a football match or going to the National Plowman's Convention or whatever it is, and or watching reruns of the EastEnders. Here you are. So actually I have the utmost respect for all of you, each and every one of you who's here. My speech actually is a bit of an amalgam, a hodgepodge of different things, but they all have a common theme, and they all build upon what Anthony Kaufman already spoke about, and that is the EU and the upcoming treaty vote. Basically, what we're talking about here today is health freedom, the European Union, and how it all interrelates with Codex Alimentarius. So let's see if I can do this from remotely here. I don't know if this is advancing. There we go. Okay, well, I went too far. Was that good? Okay, first of all, I want to let you all know that a cure for cancer exists right now, as we sit here, as I'm speaking, as you're drawing breath. Since the 1990s, there's been a researcher in the United States, but he's a Japanese researcher, and named Dr. Yamamoto, who has cured each and every case of cancer that he's come across. And he's done this in a very simple way with a once-weekly injection of a very natural substance given in a diabetic gauge needle. And this is done for anywhere from 30 weeks to 50 weeks. And there are no side effects. He's not had a single failure, and it's relatively cheap, especially compared to chemotherapy or radiation treatment or the like. Now, I know you probably didn't come here to hear about cancer cures. That's not really the purpose of what I'm telling you. The purpose of my even mentioning this is to let you know the failure of our whole setup of our regulatory regime and the like that suppresses things like this. Because here we have a completely natural substance called GCMAF, and I see, now this does work actually, so I can do it from here. So this will make it easier for you to read. And thank you, that's fine. And then what we're talking about is something that actually hypes up your immune system. Everyone in this room, hopefully if you're healthy and living, you have two immune systems. You have an innate immune system and you have an acquired immune system. The innate immune system is the immune system that is the first responder. That's the macrophages in your body. They're the ones that arrive first on the scene and destroy the invader, whether it's a cancer cell, a pathogen, a virus, a bacteria, any gram-negative pathogen. So here is a slide that shows a normal human macrophage attacking and defeating cancer. Well, why doesn't this happen in everyone? Why do people get cancer and die from cancer, or at least get horribly injured by cancer, if nothing else? Well, it's because the cancer cells themselves have a defensive mechanism. They exude an enzyme called nagalase, and this enzyme deactivates the macrophages in your body or in a person's body, thereby enabling the cancer cells to survive and even grow and expand and metastasize and spread. So how do you get around this? Well, this is where Dr. Yamamoto comes in with his treatment, and that is by giving once-weekly injection, because these nanogram-size injections of the GCMAF, MAF just stands for macrophage activating factor, they act like reinforcements to your own natural immune system, your first responders. And they're reinforcements for the army of macrophages, and they overwhelm in turn the defense of the cancer cell, and they kill the cancer. And that is why, and we are not talking about people who were just treated last week or last year or even a couple of years ago. We're talking about people who were treated in the early 1990s with no return of cancer, especially those with breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer. So we're talking about something that's very effective. But on the other hand, then you have the conventional approach. You know, the conventional approach actually ends up killing a lot of people. In the US, and I'll use US statistics because I'm from the US, although I don't spend a lot of time there anymore, but 800,000 deaths per year from doctors. These are licensed, approved, gone through exam doctors that kill people, 800,000 Americans each and every year, year in, year out. 100,000 deaths per year, actually it's more than 100,000, from approved drugs. These are drugs that the Food and Drug Administration in the US ran tests on supposedly at great expense, or the companies that they're doing the study, that are proposing to have the drugs did the studies on. And then they were licensed after many years of review and approval and bribery. But in any event, these are 100,000 plus deaths, usually around about 120,000 deaths, but I was being a little conservative here. And then just from simple food, you have 5,000 deaths a year. Food allergies, contaminated food, and the like. This is year in, year out for decades. Now, I don't expect you to read this. This is really more for the scale than anything else. But if you look at this, up here, you will see, and I can't wander too far from the microphone, although Dave offered me one, so maybe I should take it. These are the deaths that are associated with, thank you, thanks, the deaths that are associated with hospitals and doctors. And you see they run up off the scale there. You don't even need to know the number because I already gave it to you, I suppose. And then down here you have various death rates from different, right here, these are antidepressant drugs, by the way, just one component of what would be up there. You go down this list here, you see food, highly preventable deaths, but nonetheless deaths from food. But anyway, drugs, hospitals, and the like up here. Go down here, you can't read it, but I'll read it for you. Natural health care, right here. It's lodged between being hit by a meteorite and being stung by a bee. So your chance of being killed by a natural remedy or a vitamin supplement is somewhere on the order of between being hit by a meteorite, a little bit more dangerous, and being stung by a bee and dying from it. That's how dangerous those are. And so what do we have? We have these people who want to regulate this and spend a lot of time, energy, money, taxpayer dollars trying to make these very safe instead of dealing with the real causes of death and injury, not only in the US and Ireland and the UK and Europe. So just in a 23-year period of using supplements in the US, and by the way, I'm not here, excuse me, talking on behalf of supplement manufacturers. I'm here on behalf of the National Health Federation, which represents consumers like people in the audience here. But you're probably having 10 deaths within the US during this whole time period. That's regrettable, and I'm not saying that we should have even those, but when you compare it to the other deaths that I mentioned, the 800,000 a year and the like, this is a far cry from being a huge healthcare challenge. So you also have natural remedies that work. I already mentioned one of them. I mentioned GCMAF for cancer. It also works, by the way, on AIDS patients, but they haven't done the full studies on it. And then you have other items like ionic silver, which will kill viruses on contact, and bacteria and gram-negative pathogens. Selenium, just taking selenium, especially in a selenium-deficient diet like they have in the British Isles, that's really important for helping protect you from viruses. There was a very important study that showed that men just getting 200 micrograms of selenium a day, that's about the equivalent of eating 1 or 2 Brazil nuts, would cut their chances of infection by AIDS, by the HIV virus in half. Just that alone. And then you have natural vitamin D for cancer cure, cancer prevention certainly, viruses, bacteria, and the like. And then you have, sorry, I hit the wrong button here. And here you have magnesium omega-3s for helping prevent depression, or at least taking the edge off depression, and resveratrol for longevity and for antiviral effects. Resveratrol is the active ingredient that's often referred to and found in red wine. And you get about 1 milligram from a glass of red wine. But that also is one of the reasons that they account for the French paradox effect. You know, unlike the Irish who drink a lot of beer, the